What brands do you think are doing really well in terms of how they use their influencers?
I'm a big fan of a lot of brands will say, what's the return on investment? They don't need the return on investment because they know they're going to build a community out of it.
You really help content creators elevate.
Open your phone. What do you talk about? Write out 10 topics. Usually you quickly realize what you're really, really good at. And once you learn what your strengths and what the opportunities are, it becomes almost like, duh.
Hi guys, welcome to the Pulp podcast. My name's Yasmin, I'm your host. And today we have a very special guest, Ms. Victoria. She is the strategic partner manager at YouTube and an advisor to startups. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Yasmin. It's such a pleasure.
So Victoria, tell us a little bit about your title and what you do, because what you do is very interesting and you really help content creators elevate so that they become influencers and can become like independent creators.
Yeah. So at YouTube, as strategic partner manager, essentially I work with strategic partners. What does that mean? I mean, depending on our year, our plan for the year, I work with different creators. It's a very, very fun job, I have to say. And in short, I bring creators onto the platform. Let's say you're a creator that is established and, knows how to create amazing content, but really struggling with YouTube.
Yeah.
And you have 1 million questions, which they usually do.
Yeah.
They come to me and I usually arrange certain programs where I help them quite literally grow from 0 subscribers to millions of subscribers, sometimes in less than a year.
That's amazing. How does one get into a job like that?
Good question, I guess. I mean, I think we all fell into it somehow.
Yeah. What was your experience? I guess.
Yeah. I mean, what I think really helped me personally, my personal journey is marketing background. So I was really passionate about that. I was working in marketing agencies in the beginning.
Nice.
Then I worked at Nestle in digital marketing. I was leading on digital marketing in Middle East and North Africa. And after that, I wanted to try out new things. And this is where I moved to Google, YouTube specifically. First, I worked with social media. And then, I found this role where you get to work with social media creators or creators themselves. And that's how I use my marketing background and digital marketing background for the job. And it's quite helpful, to be honest. So.
Amazing. What do you think is the funnest part of your job?
Oh, gosh. I think meeting new people. I think I wanted, after working in marketing for quite a lot of years, I wanted to work in a role that allows me to meet more people. And I think maybe your job in this way is quite fascinating to learn from new people, ask them cool questions, learn about their journeys. They always have such cool stories to tell. Yeah. So I think that's my most favorite part, meeting new people, learning from them, and then, the honor of teaching them something new as well.
Yeah, no, that's definitely something that I find also interesting. I mean, people have such different backgrounds, and that is what I find fascinating. So you are basically an expert in how to build yourself as a creator. Now, there are so many platforms to create from. I feel like we have a limited kind of knowledge of what things work where, right? So there's also so many things that I don't know about. For example, how Snapchat works, how streaming works, How do you think someone can choose their platform? I mean, how do you even start? Because that's a hard one.
Yeah, it definitely is. And probably the most popular question people ask me, and hard to answer, but I'll go in multiple steps.
Yeah.
First of all, I'd say even if, people come to me even when they already have been creating for a while, but they're like, well, I don't know if this is working for me anymore, things like that. Or there's people that come to me that, completely from zero, I want to become a creator. So one thing I do is, depends how deep you want to go, but first
Let's go deep.
Let's go deep. Okay, perfect. First thing I recommend overall, sometimes I work with executives on this, is like do a SWOT analysis.
Okay.
Or that's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats analysis.
So S, strength.
Yeah, W, weaknesses.
Opportunities
and threats.
Got it.
SWOT. And this is like a typical corporate lingo. I'm sure some people are rolling my eyes at it right now, but stay with me.
Yeah.
Strengths and weaknesses are what you can control. This is you. Well, I am great at speaking. I'm really good at like talking to people. Maybe I'm XYZ. List them out. Really, really dig deep. And weaknesses again. It's in your control. It's part of who you are. And now look at opportunities and threats. These are external circumstances. What are the opportunities? This platform is going wild, and I can get millions of views in one day. Threats. Well, certain platforms are perceived not so, like perceived as more safe or less safe, whatever it is. There's lots of, or there's, regional nuances that I need to deal with, things like that. This is out of your control.
Okay.
But be mindful of that.
So
do that analysis.
By threats, do you mean like challenges, for example, that?
Yeah. So yeah, maybe like a platform is new.
Yeah.
And do I want to go put all of my eggs into that basket?
Got it. So when, like, for example, threads
exactly
came out,
exactly,
like,
it's out of your control. It's not your platform. Like what do I do? So the opportunity there is probably a lot of reach, or probably it's a new platform. You'll be the first one on it. But what is the threat? Well, it is a new platform, so maybe it won't catch on. So then based on that, you might think about, well, maybe then I don't go full on into this platform specifically. Things like that. So basically, in a way, I recommend doing this exercise just to think about your strategy, because what usually happens is when, especially the strengths and weaknesses part, usually you quickly realize what you're really, really good at,
right,
and what you're not so good at. And also, what are the opportunities? Like, I try not to focus on the negative as much, right?
Yeah.
And once you learn what your strengths and what the opportunities are, it becomes almost like, duh.
So then how do you match your results of the SWOT analysis to the platform? How do you know what each platform's strengths and weaknesses are?
Exactly. So then I don't do the analysis per platform. After that, I do a second question I ask the person is to usually, what do you talk about? Open your phone. Like, I literally ask them, open your phone. Look at the images you have on your phone. What pictures were you taking? And I asked them to write out 10 topics that they've been, talking about throughout the last day or the last week, depending how much a person talks, I guess.
You mean like open your phone and look at what you chat with your friends about?
Yeah. What you chat with your friends about, what you take pictures of, what you post about, and literally write 10 topics. Like, and don't filter. Don't give me this whole like, oh, I like to talk about politics all the time, or I like to talk about corporate advice. No. What do you actually, who are you?
Okay.
And you list 10, no filters.
I feel like that's a bit difficult, don't you think?
It's difficult.
It's
true. Yeah, that's why it's usually a workshop where we sit down and we do it for usually at least 2 hours.
Yeah.
You list it out, and then why? Because I'm trying to tap into authenticity. Like, who are you as a person?
Got it.
You list it out, and then basically you get, essentially, usually you already get the niche. You already start understanding who you are as a content creator. And then you match that to your strengths and you match that to your opportunities. I'll give an example, let's say from my personal journey. Like, I work at YouTube. Of course, I want to create YouTube content to tell my creators, look, I'm such an amazing content creator myself. Wow, like I walk the talk.
Yeah.
I've done this strategy where over time I learned that, look, I talk corporate a lot, and I spend a lot of time in my job and with my colleagues during work, outside of work, and things like that. That's just who I am at the moment in my life.
Yeah.
And then LinkedIn became the platform for me. And why did I end up going all in? Because it went with my strengths, went with what I like to do, went with who I am, let's say, on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
And this is where I go into execution. This is the next step, is once you pick your platform, go at it full on. Like, once you do this analysis, once you understand who you are, let's say, or like approximately, go full on mode for at least 3 months, ideally a year. And if it doesn't work, then let's see if maybe we'll look at another platform.
Okay, so then let's do a little fun exercise.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody who has the strength of public speaking, weakness of, I don't know, maybe weakness of not so good at like tech or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Someone not too detail oriented.
Okay.
And then their opportunities are, I guess, public speaking opportunities and
Let's
stuff
say,
like that.
where are they based? Let's say they're based in Dubai, and maybe they have a career in engineering, and maybe there's an engineering conference coming up, or like Expo 2020, like things like, maybe we map out the external opportunities in the region.
Got it.
And we understand that there's XYZ conferences or XYZ channels opening up, or XYZ platforms focusing on certain verticals, such as maybe they need more engineers talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the threat of that would be
threats and weaknesses I don't focus as much about, but it
Right.
could be, let's say I can get too technical in my speeches and
Right.
I will alienate people, or I say something in public that, doesn't align with my company's brand
Yeah.
and, things like that.
I like that. Okay, so we have our little character who
Yeah.
wants to do public speaking and engineer. Could get too technical sometimes.
Yeah.
What social media platform would be good for that person?
Then I'll do the next exercise, the 10 things.
Okay,
Yeah,
what are the
then
10
I'll
things?
ask them, what do you talk about? And I literally once recently asked an executive, and he's like, yeah, about the kids with my wife and spending more time with that. And then it was like, it got very personal.
Yeah.
But very quickly we understood that he was, perfect for LinkedIn. In that case,
Okay.
in this with this, let's say, engineer character, I would want the 10 things. Can you think of 10 things?
Okay, so
right? Or
10
like 3
things?
things, or give me 3 things.
10
and
things
I'll-
he talks about.
Yeah. Or like 3 things.
Okay,
and
we're
we'll-
going to have to go.
It's
another podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it takes
Okay, all
yeah,
right.
so then I
No, I just wanted to basically just highlight, give an example of how this could be done.
so let's
it's
say
very interesting.
let's say he talks about let's say he's quite interested in sci-fi books.
Yep.
Let's say but also of course he's interested in his job of engineering.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say he's quite interested in and talks quite a bit about again further maybe collaborations and relationships, and he does a lot of C-suite engagements and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So this is when then I understand that maybe he's not in complete comfort zone to go super casual. Maybe he likes to talk about very specific topics, likes to engage with C-suite. Okay, he does like his sci-fi, he has his quirky side, but then
Yeah.
again, it's not super casual, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Which, on social platforms that usually what works is, showing your persona as much as possible. So then I was like, okay, it looks like you have a corporate, more or less, image.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe how about we look into a strategy of putting you out in public, putting you out into conferences and then podcasts. Maybe you become a podcaster, right? And maybe
that's
your
good.
channel is podcast, and then podcast, right? The channels can be anything, whatever platform hosts podcasts.
Yeah.
Because it looks like this is what they are. Their authentic self is talking about the high level job they have. But if he came back to me and said, look, today I talked about a prank. Yesterday I made my wife laugh by, I don't know what, like changing our dinner timings. And
Yeah.
it was so funny, ha ha ha. And yeah, I do talk about engineering a little bit here and there, but I love to laugh. I love to be silly. I love to be like so crazy on camera and things like that. And I'm like, okay, let's look at, some social platforms,
TikTok.
Yeah, exactly.
something,
Yeah,
yeah.
TikTok, YouTube, whatever it is. Yeah.
So just to kind of paraphrase what you
Yeah.
were talking about, SWOT analysis first
Mm-hmm.
to discover your strengths and weaknesses and opportunities and threats, and then do a list of 10 things that you would love to talk about.
Yeah, but actually talked about in the last 24 hours or last week. As
Oh.
in, know what you
Don't
love.
decide.
Yeah. Literally open your phone. What is the last few, like, kind of, 5 friends make who you are. 10 things you talk about make who you are as a content creator.
Wow.
Like in the last hour or in the last 24 hours or last 1 week. Like, just write it out.
Okay, got it. And why are these important exercises?
Yeah. So with SWOT, it's just to keep yourself strategic, as in because you, Yasmin, have some kind of strength that I, Victoria, don't have. You have some kind of opportunity by being based in Dubai, and I by being based in London. Like, and really play on what makes you unique, because that will help you, stand out. So that's the strategic part. So that's why SWOT is important, in my opinion, and just a good business exercise. And 2, the other part, the 10 points, is that authenticity. Like, because what I, like any creator, if you want to be, super successful, you need to probably work a lot and work really, really hard. And it's quite hard to work on something that is not genuinely part of you. So, just bring your persona to life. Bring who you are at the core, what you actually talk about. Don't try to create a new persona and show it online.
Yeah.
Yes, that can work, but I almost guarantee you'll have a difficult time carrying it out
Yeah.
for a prolonged period of time. And building an online brand, it takes time.
Should you ask your friends? Should you ask your friends to be like, what do you think I'm good at? Or should you just do your own homework?
It can be. In some
Yeah.
business schools, they actually ask. I remember my friend once sent me a survey from a business
Yeah.
school. Can you tell me what my strengths, weaknesses, things like that are?
Yeah.
It definitely helps. Do it with your friends if you want, or someone who's really, really close to you. Yeah.
Because there's this like 360-degree analysis feedback.
Review.
Which I mean, a lot of people have told me, I haven't done it, but people told me it's very, very like, it's great.
We
for
do it
feedback.
all the time.
Yeah.
Like in my previous 2 companies, we always did it. Yeah.
Nice. All right. So let's move on to actually now becoming a content creator. Now, a lot of people get into content creation for monetary reasons, right? And it is such an attractive kind of value. Like it's like you really, really want to get in there because you want to be free independently, financially independent. What other values do you think content creation brings other than monetary?
Yeah, for sure. I'd say most of the time when I talk to someone who wants to become a content creator, I ask them why. And usually the answer is because I love to create content.
Okay.
And because I love to connect with a community. And I would say that's the biggest value you get out of it, is being able to express yourself.
Yeah.
And at the same time, connect with someone. If you think about it, right, for years and generations, we had artists, we had filmmakers, and you would create, but you wouldn't get that instant connection with someone, with a wide community. That's such a huge honor. And I think you're truly aligned with the value of what content creation brings, is if that's what you're in for creating content. I really want to express myself, and I really want to connect. You connect with a really cool, very often cool community because they clearly like what you create. Yeah. And last but not least, of course, money comes with it. But in my personal opinion is that it comes usually after you're a great content creator and you're great at engaging and connecting with your community. Yeah. And the whole connection part, I think, is if I had to, say what's my favorite part of it, or creators, it's usually that connection that you get with your community. It's absolutely insane.
Everyone says that.
Yeah. It's so nice to have people backing you, or like people that believe in what you believe in, and you get to really have that little circle or big circle of community.
Or like like getting even just one comment where you feel like you've helped somebody is such a huge, I don't know what it is. It's like, I don't want to say it's not an ego boost, because it's more than that. It's more like a kind of in-depth thing. You feel like you've taught somebody something.
Exactly. You feel like you've created something that has aided someone. Yes. And that ultimately can be incredibly satisfying. That can be your life purpose.
That's so true. I love that. And so your experience as a partner manager, now, what have you seen works for content creators when they want to approach brands? How can they pitch themselves appropriately, not sounding too needy or too aloof? What is kind of the balance?
Yeah, I'd say as much as possible, a lot of content creators are really good at building community, really good with their fans. They know what content to create, how to make them happy. So in a similar way, I recommend treating your potential brand deals, brand managers, whoever you are approaching, as that community.
Okay.
It's strange, right? Like, I mean,
I like that.
Yeah.
That's really personal and very nice.
Exactly. Because the creators that I've seen that are very successful with brand deals and so on and so forth, usually so good at building those relationships. And I know it's like a challenge because I'm asking you to do even more than you already do. And you should, just probably just already get those inquiries in. But in a way, I'd say, if you're with an agency, have strong relationship with your agency. Grab a coffee with them. It doesn't have to be just a commercial type of relationship. Grab a coffee with them, just like with your community, right? They're watching you, because you create cool content, but they're also watching you because they somehow like you, right? So bring that community type of connection with the people that are financially supporting you.
Yeah, 100%.
Schedule a coffee with that influencer manager that you work with the agency, with the brand. Of course, with the brands might be a bit tricky, but they probably have events. They probably have some kind of dinners that they do. Be part of that. See how you can contribute to that community, because at the end of the day, yes, there's money in the play, but there's also quite a big pool of creators and brand managers, so it gets a bit like saturated, right? Yes. So just create those connections, and if you can't go directly, approach directly, try to do that with your agency. So to directly answer your questions and like how do you pitch, I recommend as much as possible pitch either if you have that relationship, you can pitch. But if you don't, then ask someone to represent you and do that on your behalf as much as possible. And again, you can always do that directly. I mean, but just do it from a sense of relationship building versus, you know, I have this great value, let's do this type of approach. Why? Because every business has their own objective. Unless you know that objective, it's going to be really hard for you to, you know, unless there's a job application quite specifically told, right? Does that make sense?
So basically go to the brand as if you want to build a relationship rather than you just wanting to do this one kind of little exercise.
Yeah, as much as possible. And very often, unfortunately, brands won't have that direct access to creator. So you probably do that through an agency. So then come build that relationship with the agency. The agency will probably know that there's 3-4 events that they can attend with the brand. Maybe they can bring you along, or maybe they will at least have you top of mind the next time they do a campaign. Just these relationships matter. And then if you can't build those relationships, then be super aligned with the business, and that's a different strategy.
But the thing is, I'm asking because, for example, there's a lot of like micro and nano influencers who don't have like anyone to represent them yet, so they have to go directly in with the brand and pitch.
So exactly. So this is where the other strategy comes in, is alignment with business as much as possible. Think of like any relationship, win-win. What is the win for you? You probably know that, but really know what the win is for you and what is the win for them. Of course, it's engagement and things like that, but they can get that from Lucy down the street. Why is it me? Right? So then maybe think about brand alignment. One of the tips and tricks that's quite often recommended is that start creating the content that would be relevant for that brand. If that's you, let's say you have a dream brand that you want to work with. Maybe start creating content that just like makes 100% sense
and
for
tag them.
Tag them. Why not? Get their attention, whatever it is. Like slowly start, like show them that you are the perfect candidate.
Right.
It's like applying to a job sometimes, you know, you have the job description and you want to make, and they have points, literally, it's like a cheat sheet. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 skills we need. You want to make sure you tag every tip. What is it? Cross every, you know, box.
Dot every I.
Exactly. Dot every I. Gosh,
cross
my
every
tongue.
whatever.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Everything.
Yeah.
And with brand deals, you don't necessarily have a direct brief. If you have a brief, make sure you cross every T for sure. But if you don't have a brief, well, then look at the brand more and more. Look at their previous campaigns. Look what they've worked with and so on. Just make sure you fit into that. And if you don't 100% fit in, what value are you bringing that will make it a huge win, where the brand manager will come back and be like, well, this small creator is so cool, like her content is such great quality, like she's so aligned with our value proposition, and her engagement is so high, like the numbers is good, but like it becomes the cherry on the top.
100%. I like how you said that basically it's not about the numbers, it's more about like what is the relationship that we're building and how far you know, how much can we elevate this together?
Yeah. Or I would add that numbers is the prerequisite, as in you need to come in with those high numbers already. Like if you're a micro influencer, it's probably engagement rates, or if you're bigger creators, usually like overall numbers. And then after that, there's the relationship and the value you bring. I know it's very competitive and a lot to say, but
it's so interesting.
Usually how it is.
You know why it's really great that you're basically we're going through every single detail, because I feel like it sounds like such a mystery to people sometimes. Like
and it is a bit.
And it is a bit, because people don't talk about all the updates, all the things that people are actually going through and still learning, by the way. Like it's such a
There's
changing environment.
New.
Everything's new. Okay, so people who are creating content this year, for example, how do you advise them to plan their content for the rest of the year? Is there a way that you can kind of do that and then be like, okay, just schedule and just post, you know, without having to do much?
Yeah. Well, I'd say my number one always advice with like content creation or like planning for the year, do what you love. As much as possible. That's why I do this exercise of the 10 things, because it's who you are and you probably love talking about it. That's what you're talking about. So do what you love. So as much as possible for this year, whatever you're planning, do what you love.
Yep.
And also do what you're good at. Why? Because you're going to keep getting good at it, and you're going to become an expert, or you are already an expert. And this will, shoot you up the moon, because you will become better than everyone else because you're good at it and you love it. So that combination is fierce, fire, and really strong. So I know it's quite broad, but just try to do that as much as possible. Look at your posts. What are the ones I love to do, and what are the ones I'm good at?
Okay.
So focus on those. That's one.
And that what you love to do, we can trace it back to the first 10 things, the 10 kind of topics.
Exactly. Because if you talk about it every day, you probably love it. Even if you probably don't acknowledge it. We don't all acknowledge we love pop culture or whatever, random shows we watch. But, if you talk about it half of your day, come on.
Come on. That's
yeah, exactly. You probably love it.
Yeah. And maybe even if you're not good at it yet, you're like going to put effort.
Yeah, you're going to put effort. But I do still recommend the combo of both. Because if you love something and you're not good at it, you might get stuck in being just loving it.
I understand.
But if you love it and you're good at it, you're going to become a superstar as long as you keep going.
Is there a way where we can find out what we're good at, like a quick online test? And a lot of people know what they're good at. It's kind of... Like obviously, if you're like in a position like where you're like in a role in a company, you're good at that. Yeah. But still, is there like other like self-discovery tools that you can recommend?
I mean, I don't have any specific tools, but it's like apart from the SWOT analysis, maybe talking to your friends. That's a good way. Do your own little what I'm good at list, and then ask your friends, your family, your colleagues. Go around different circles.
Yep.
You'll get a pretty good picture because they'll usually keep saying the same thing, and then you're like, well,
that's true. Like, what's the overlapping?
Yeah. What's the overlap? Yeah, and then of course, I imagine you can take some career tests and things like that, but sometimes I take them with a grain of salt, to be honest.
Yeah. So a lot of people kind of have issues with knowing what to talk about next. Like it's not, obviously you can plan as much as you can, like, during the year, there's different events and stuff, but at the same time, like it gets a little bit tiresome for a content creator.
Yeah.
What do you advise for people to do in that case? Like, should they just have a pool of ideas to pick from? So
basically kind of I'll jump like add on to the whole do what you love and do what you're good at. Why? Because partially in a way, burnout can be a problem.
Yes.
Or being tired or needing a holiday is absolutely normal. So plan for that as much as possible. Schedule as much as possible. What I've seen, what I do myself, what a lot of creators do is try to create a routine around content creation, right? While it's not a 9-to-5 job, it is a job, right? So schedule as much as possible, meaning maybe block out a time. A lot of creators, they have a day where they create content and a day when they, edit and schedule it. Okay. Try to do that. Maybe it's 2 days a week. Maybe it's 1 day a week where you block out a time. I have literally a time in my calendar on the weekend. It's usually on a Sunday. I have a few hours blocked out where I write every single post and I schedule. A lot of creators do that as well, where maybe one day you do all the filming and another day you do all the editing and scheduling, and usually for the entire week. Right. Sometimes for 2 weeks, sometimes for a month. Like it just depends what you're in. I mean, imagine with your podcast, you do the same. So
I do the same, but the thing is, for example, for me, it's a bit different because I can't do like 3 podcasts per day.
100%.
Die.
Yeah. It's different. It's different. Yeah.
But actually, I'm gonna get a little bit just like deeper into it. I know this is gonna be a little bit too detailed, maybe for some people, but I really want people to understand. For example, when you're doing a content creation day, are you like in one place the whole time making content? And is it like you have a list of topics that you're gonna discuss like facing the camera, or is it?
Yeah, completely, I guess, depends on what is the nature of your content. Okay. But I know a lot of, let's say, creators that do quite detailed content, let's say, that require a lot of editing and things like that, they have to plan. If they don't plan, otherwise it's just really difficult because it's really hard to come up with ideas that have, like a lot of items in the room, a lot of people in the room, really, really hard to do so. So they usually, I think they just film throughout the day. They change outfits, they do like that. They just have a shoot day. Otherwise, there will be, like, as they say, there will be days when they're not inspired, not feeling like it. It's really hard to always on a whim do something really, really nice. So they just schedule it. They just do it as much as possible. And again, that gives you room for having that vacation and having that downtime, right? Because if maybe it's not 1 day of filming, maybe it's 2 or 3 days in a row of filming, but then, thank God you can go and attend that birthday party, relax, go travel, whatever it is. So yeah, I guess they just in one day
That's
try to
actually-
do multiple things or in multiple days, but they just schedule it. I think that's the key.
That's a good idea. I think that people, if you are someone who's prone to burnout or someone who's a perfectionist, maybe doing that will really, really help.
Yeah, I recommend. And then again, I know that usually what creators come at me with is, but like how are trends? And yeah, that's totally valid. But trends, that's usually something you can do on a whim, right? Or like you're usually motivated by other people. Everyone's doing it, so you can do that on a whim. But the content that, you know, the cool idea you had in your head, write it down, you know, put that script together and do it on your filming day or whatever is your time that you blocked out for yourself. Because again, I recommend planning long term. Plan long term. Imagine this, you'll be doing this for the next 10 years. Like it'll be really hectic not to have a schedule.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Think big. Think, I guess, long term.
Yeah. Because what's the book about the 10,000 hours?
Yeah, if you practice something for 10,000 hours, you become a master at it, basically.
I truly believe it's exactly the same with content creation. A lot of us, you know, look at content creators and think, oh, you know, they blew up overnight.
Yeah.
True, but they worked usually 10 years before that.
That's
most
so true.
creators you ask them when they started, even if they're 17, they someone's gonna tell you 7. Like, yeah. If you ask most, it's absolutely insane.
It's funny how we don't see it that way. It's
We don't see. We just see, overnight they blew up. No, they've probably been you know, doing those photos, whatever, in front of the camera for the last 10 years. If you ask them on average, they'll say that. And then one day they blew up.
That's exactly.
And that's all we see. We're like, oh yeah, like such a lucky guy, lucky girl.
Yeah. No, every content creator that I've spoken to on my podcast has been very candid about the fact that they have worked their butt off with no kind of views in sight, and they didn't even know if they were going to make it, but they just continued because they loved it.
Exactly, because they loved it and they liked the connection. And this literally gives me like goosebumps. Like, I just love, because they're all so passionate. It's very nice.
It's inspiring.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about LinkedIn, because I know that you have quite following on LinkedIn and you love LinkedIn. And I feel like there's so much stuff that we don't really know about how to access on LinkedIn, because I have no clue what works on LinkedIn. Someone help me.
No one knows.
No one knows. Because I'm always like, okay, my reel for this video is going to like blow up on LinkedIn, or I'm going to put the link to YouTube, but it just doesn't work. What is the key? Like, what are we missing?
Well, I've done a lot of plug and play here and there. And I think, like all platforms, again, the same rule of like, do what you love, post about something you're good at, or do post that you're good at. Here, it's a professional platform, so people come in there looking for a job most of the time, right? Or trying to find some cool superstar, rock star, however they advertise in their job descriptions.
Yeah.
Or they're there for industry news, right? To learn something new. Or they're there for social purposes. Okay, what is that person doing here and there? So this is when you tap into those needs, right?
Yeah.
So they're there again to find someone, to find a job, find a candidate, learn something industry related, and be social. So then, you know, look into those, right? So try to, let's say, create content that you love and you're good at, yes. But also, you know, satisfy the needs of your audience on the platform. And like the typical plug and play, like content buckets, like I say, is you want to educate, you want to inform, which is the industry, the news part, and in some capacity, in some capacity, you want to inspire. Why you want? Because at the end of the day, you're building a brand, so you want to create, you know, some form of thought leadership. So then, and then look back again to the exercise of what do I love to do? What am I good at? So educating. So let's say, Yasmin, we're going to make you a LinkedIn influencer. So Yasmin.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So Yasmin, so how do you educate? You talk to some amazing people on this podcast platform. So you can definitely educate them about, you know, the 3 things, the 3 outcomes or learnings you've had based on each conversation. And you can, you know, tie it to creator economy, because again, you can educate people about that, right?
Right.
Then we're looking at inform, right? News related, again, super big strength of yours. So again, what is the recent news that's happening again in the industry? Because again, people are coming onto the platform to learn more about this. Again, a post about that. And then last but not least, inspiring. Super big strength of yours as well. You'll be a great LinkedIn influencer.
I'm gonna go on LinkedIn.
Yeah. You can What are the inspiring people you've met? What is the inspiring destination you've been to today that, is just really, really cool? And a lot of people will think, wow, like I wish I was there. I wish I was speaking to that person.
Yeah.
So, and mixing that up and then regularly satisfying those needs consistently, like let's say not stopping, regularly showing up on the platform, almost guaranteed you'll be that creator. Yeah.
That's great. I love that. And then can people make brand deals for LinkedIn, or does that not really exist?
I think my understanding is they have also partner managers that bring people onto the platform, guide them, and so on. I don't know if there's any thing direct, but I do have a vision that it's going to keep growing significantly. As in, in a way, if you look at LinkedIn, it looks like Facebook right now. So there's going to be a lot of changes, or I see it becoming more and more of a platform for creators because there's a lot of cool content generated on it now. And a lot of it is just going to be, I think, B2B.
Yes.
At the end of the day, you want clients, right? And 100%. Where do you go to get your clients? This is pretty much the platform so far.
Yeah, 100%. But then what about like videos when you actually want to advertise, like, for example, a podcast?
Yeah.
I'm talking for me, for selfish reasons.
We're like, hint, like, why? Yeah. Where are the views? Yeah.
You get a lot of impressions, but you're not really sure if it's converting to views on like somewhere else. What do you advise for people who are in the podcasting space doing that? Like, what should they do?
Interesting. I think most platforms want you to stay on the platform, right?
Yes.
So I think overall, maybe converting it to views, I don't think I have an answer to that.
Okay.
But I'd say what LinkedIn is quite good at is that your connections on your LinkedIn are probably people you know really well, or like somehow know because everyone has their job title and so on and so forth. So the connections on there are quite, for lack of a better word, close or intimate.
Yes.
Because the person who comments, you see their name, their photo, their job. So so it's pretty close connection. So what I'm trying to say is whatever engagement you already get is really, really close. So the loyalty is pretty, pretty strong.
Right.
So while you maybe won't get those, millions of views on your podcast or downloads, you will get people to actually watch your content and actually watch your post or read your post. But also whenever they comment, it's a very, strong engagement point, if that makes sense. Because if you're commenting anonymously, that's one thing, or, under a different username. But if you're commenting it from your genuine job title, photo, and so on and so forth, that's pretty strong engagement. So what I'm trying to say, if you get 2 comments on LinkedIn, that's equal to, 100 comments on another platform. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, got it.
Not necessarily that's the ratio. I'm like saying it's approximate, but the numbers will be much less there. But they're usually much more impactful because, again, you're literally putting your name, your photo, your career on the line by commenting. By commenting or engaging or liking and everything. So take the numbers there with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Because what will happen, I promise you, if you regularly post, you still might not get those views or those likes that you want that you get on other platforms.
Yeah.
But you're probably gonna have colleagues starting to come up to you and being like, I've seen that post. It's so cool. Or like a colleague or someone from LinkedIn being like, I know this person, they should speak to you on your podcast.
That's
and things like that.
I feel like the community building on LinkedIn is super strong.
Yeah.
Because if you were in that space of corporate or wanting to build
exactly. Or just in general, the engagement might look low, but it's actually very deep. If that makes sense. Yeah.
In your kind of expertise, what do you think you can see happening in the future? Some kind of, I guess, predictions of what might happen in these social media platforms that we're talking about.
Sure. Great question. I think everyone talks about it, but we still didn't mention this word in this podcast. So AI.
AI.
How dare we?
Oh my God. You know what? I feel like subconsciously I avoid it sometimes.
It's sometimes it's a very saturated topic. So one, I'd say AI, but one thing I personally look into, or like I'm very curious about AI in education. Right? It's really good at that. Like it's good at many things, but education. So I can see how, this is what I sometimes tell creators. I was like, get on the bandwagon, not because you have to be a tech creator, AI creator. No, I'm not saying that, but it will help you do things faster. And AI is also very good at summarizing content, creating content, which is good for education creators a lot. So I have a feeling there will be something with that. So as in like either education content will start rising or they will just start efficiently producing so much cool content that a lot of creators are like, oh, I didn't know there's 10 education content creators out there, which could be LinkedIn creators potentially, it could be business creators, but I can see that as one of the things. Yeah.
The fact that you can transcribe a YouTube video and then take it into ChatGPT and summarize it, get bullet points from that.
Yeah, and create a book.
Make it a post-it or create a book or something.
Yeah. So like,
it's insane.
Yeah. So I think education and AI is a big one for me. And it kind of ties into LinkedIn again, because already a lot of people on LinkedIn use a lot of the resources like generative AI is giving.
Yeah.
Two, I'd say, yeah, I mean, anything that goes into with the younger generation. So whatever is, trending with them, would usually, trend with on socials. So I'd look into that as much as possible. And last but not least, yeah, I'm a huge believer of B2B. So as in, I think there will be like, it's already happening, but there will be more of that in this year or coming years, where it's a very fine line between you being a business and you being a person that's selling to a business. Right. So more and more startup founders will jump on the LinkedIn or B2B2C bandwagon where they will become a creator because they know that will help them sell. So there will be, I see more and more of that happening.
I feel like I'm very kind of, I don't really know so I know what B2B means. Business to business, right? But you as a business, for example, what you're creating content for another, with another business as a target audience in mind. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that, exactly. Okay. So what I see happening is, let's say you're a business and it's already happening where, let's say you want to sell your beautiful pink sweater that you're wearing, and you probably will think of becoming a content creator and talking about your journey, how you make those sweaters and you're going to sell them and so on and so forth. So in a way you're a content creator, but you're also a business. Yeah. What I see happening also is, let's say you're a bigger business and you have multiple executives, and more businesses tapping into that. Let's say you are, a conglomerate, selling cement, whatever it is. And all of a sudden you're going to offer your executives to talk about the industry. Right. Either it's usually conferences right now, but I think it's going to go more and more online. I've heard quite a lot of these, industries that you'd be surprised about creating podcasts, talking about their journeys, becoming creators. They won't have millions of followers, I promise you, but they will still tap into that environment because, it's sometimes just a matter of one right person listening to their podcast and giving a call, and a 1 million contract is closed. Yes. So I see a bit more and more of that happening, where there will be a lot of, let's say, micro influencers / influencers 100%. In B2B that, they're selling, let's say, cement to another company, but, they're going to be talking about infrastructure and engineering on a very niche podcast.
That's actually a very good way for businesses to do it because, for example, you know how you have like the About Us page on a website, but you don't need to do that anymore. If you have like a podcast series that can kind of show
exactly rather. You're on your work, you're on your way to work or from work, you're tired, you don't want to, you're let's say a business development manager, you don't want to fish out for another series of websites where you're going to get to your cement, let's say. You open a podcast that says, oh, we're having these executives on board and we're going to talk about what are the best pricing, whatever it is, what are the best strategies. And you drive in your car, you listen to that, you're like, okay, great. You pick up your call and you call the guys. Right. Yeah.
So another thing that you do is also help startups, right? You help them kind of, tell us a little bit about what you help them do.
Yeah. So, it all started quite a few years ago where I started doing some really cool things. There was Dora. We went to university together, Dora Palfi, and she runs Imagi, which is a startup that teaches girls how to code, addressing the big challenge of the future generation and the current generation, where there's not enough women engineers in coding that program, meaning not enough women are creating technology, meaning that a lot of technology, let's say, how she puts the equation is, technology equals the future. Is women are not part of the technology, are not part of technology. Women are not part of the future. Got it. So it was something that I was quite curious and interested about. I just wanted to support, and the rest is history. So now I support them with the communications, I support them with the marketing, and I would just get on board and advise them as much as possible. And now I have quite a few startups under me where we usually have a call every once in a while, or a meeting every once in a while, where I help them out with their strategies.
Oh, nice. So you help them out with strategy, like content strategy?
Or no, not necessarily. Usually marketing. So I take
strategy.
my experience from Nestle, from management consulting. So we usually sit down and depending on the needs, I do something like that SWOT analysis I talked about, or we do different types of assessments to understand where they're at in different levels of the business. And then if I see that I can help with something, I either do recommendations, maybe, speak to these people, or I, give specific strategies or help with specific advice. Yeah.
Quick questions. Quick questions with quick answers, right? So just to end this podcast in like kind of a fun note.
Yeah, of course.
All right. So what brands do you think are doing really well in terms of how they use their influencers?
Whoa, that's a good one. Well, I'm a big fan of Nike. Yeah, they're so good. I mean, Nike is all about. I mean, they started. I think they were the OGs in many ways. They started with sports people, right? They work with influencers, and they're all about community building. I mean, their apps are worth so much. The whole Nike Run. Nike Run, and then the the one for exercises. Anyways, I'm a huge fan. Yeah.
Awesome. And the thing is, I just want to Nike is also really good at like basically creating a pop culture around certain a certain shoe or a certain, even like taking political and societal things and incorporating them in their brand. What do you think is their secret? Like, how are they doing that?
I think they have a strong belief in building community. That's the way I see it, is that if you look at, again, the apps, the Nike Run app, you can tell it's a fancy app.
Yeah.
It's a free app. It does everything like any good app that tracks your running would do. Even better, I love the app.
Yeah.
Absolutely for free. Like, a lot of brands will say, what is this? What's the return on investment? They don't need a return on investment because they know they're going to build a community out of it.
Okay.
And they value the fact that this community will come back and buy from them. But not this year, maybe not even next year. It took me quite a while. I was a broke student to buy those Nikes.
Yeah.
It took me a while, but I'm a dead fan, so
you'll do whatever it takes. You'll even borrow money maybe to buy something.
Yeah, exactly. or at the very least, I'll tell someone else to use the app. I'll tell someone else how much I'm a fan of Nike, and so on and so forth.
That's amazing.
So like, I think that's the secret, but it's very expensive secret.
It's very expensive.
It's very expensive.
It's gonna break your bank account.
Yeah,
it's
gonna that, or let's say time wise. By expensive, I mean money, of course, bank account, but also you usually need to invest a lot of time to build community, right? You need to find that time to respond to your comments, go to that talk, really, really genuinely engage with your community. Yeah, it's a lot of resources. Yeah.
Favorite influencer of the year?
Whoa, that's a tricky one.
I know, because you manage influencers, you have to pick one of your children.
Oh my gosh, this is crazy. I'll go a bit safe. But I'm just really proud of one creator. I'll also go with a woman, of course. I'll
Can you give us the name? Are you allowed to say the name?
I'll name Abir. I'm really proud of her. Abir's Kitchen.
Okay.
She hit 4 million on YouTube.
Whoa.
But the reason I chose her, not because I'm playing favorites or anything, but I just know how much she works.
Okay.
I just know that just every single post takes so much work, and I don't know how she manages it. I mean, but I love her, and I think she's a good testament of loving what you do, doing what you're good at, putting in the work, putting in the time, and not doing it even for the followers, whatever. She just really loves expressing herself and really genuinely engaging with the community, and she's just like really sweetheart. So yeah.
Great. Okay. Favorite brand that you love to work with?
Oh, I don't work with brands that much, actually. Yeah, I used to work in Nestle.
Okay.
I used to work with brands as much, but right now,
Favorite film?
Whoa, I'm a bit maybe old school. Forrest Gump.
Oh my God, I love
Run, Forrest, Run. Yeah, I love it. It's such
all the Tom Hanks.
Yeah. Exactly. I love all his movies. So I love how wholesome it is, how positive it is, and how cheesy it is.
Yeah, I love that.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Okay, future plans for you? What do you have coming up next? Or what would you
Whoa.
like to do that you think would really integrate everything that your strengths
My
and
strength.
your strengths and would really integrate everything that you know? Is there some kind of
Yeah.
dream that you're working towards?
Yeah, I mean, I currently just really love what I do right now. It's an honor to be able to help grow people, quite literally. Find their talents and grow them on the platform. Really, really love it. So I want to continue doing more of that. So whether it be via corporate jobs or not, is to just empower people. I did this career test. Actually, maybe that's a tool. It's called Strength Test, something like that. It's
Okay.
called. And it came out that I'm an activator, meaning I'm good at activating people and bringing out their strengths and, getting them, building them
We
up.
have to find out what the website name is so we
yeah,
can
yeah,
do
yeah.
the
It's
test.
called Strength Test. I think if you
Strength
Google
test.
Strength Test
Okay.
and Strength Test. It's
Got
a
it.
formal test. It's like unfortunately you need to pay for it, but
Okay.
it was a really nice one. And I was an activator. So I want to continue activating people and around me. So whatever form that takes, whether it be in the 9 to 5 job, outside the 9 to 5 job, helping people grow is so satisfying. So it's really nice.
Great. Well, thank you so much for today. And thank you for being so candid with us and
Thank
generous with
you.
your information.
Thank
I
you,
feel like
thank
this
you.
is going to help so many creators.
Hopefully it will, yeah.
Yeah. And so, guys, if you like this video, do like, share. And if you have any questions for me or Victoria, please put them in the comments below. And we'll see you on the next one.